beautiful friends, it's Amanda here, and today we're talking about a new collection from Smashbox. This is the Crystalized collection. This is a collaboration with the Hoodwitch. I had never really heard of this before. Mysticism, the occult, crystals, things like that, that's not really my jam. I don't have anything against it. That's just not my aesthetic. That's not my lifestyle. And like I said, I don't have a problem with it. It's just not my thing. I will link the Hoodwitch Instagram website and all that stuff below if you're interested in learning more about that, but I'm just going to be talking about the makeup today. This is a rather large collection. I only purchased 2 pieces from this Crystalized collection. Let's see what else they have though. I'm looking at Ulta on my phone. So there are Crystalized Always On liquid eyeshadows in 6 shades. Those are $24 each. The packaging looks really cute on them, but I'm not big on liquid eyeshadow, so I wasn't trying to spring $24 on that. There is a Crystalized Photo Finish Primer Water Spray. Comes in 3 colors. What is that all about? Let's click on that. The Primer Water Spray comes in 3 different scents. They're $32 each. So there's Aura Shield, which is Clary Sage and Tea scented. Love Ritual, which is Jasmine and Rose. Classic romantic scents. And then there is Crystal Clarity, which is Lavender and Sweet Orange. 3 shades of the Crystalized Los Angeles lip gloss. There's a Photo Finish Crystalized Primerizer, $42. Woo! That's expensive. There are Crystalized Shimmer Drops, $25. Again, that's not really my kind of favorite product, so I didn't go for that. I did go for the powder highlighter, the Crystalized highlighter, which is $39. And I also got the Cover Shot eyeshadow palette in Crystalized, which is $29. These products definitely caught my attention in Instagram photos because of the packaging. They look super pretty. I love this printed powder look on a highlighter. That's just something that always gets me going. And I thought that this crystal looking packaging looked really pretty. Not gonna lie, it's not quite as pretty in person as it looked in the marketing images. I still like it, I just don't like it as much as I thought I was going to. I don't know what I was expecting. It's just a little bit like plasticky, cheapy looking. It's okay. It's not like horrific and ugly, but it's just not as gorgeous as I thought it was gonna be. The highlighter definitely ends up looking and feeling a little bit more luxurious than the eyeshadow palette. I don't know if it's because it has the metallic casing instead of the black plastic. The highlighter, it only comes in 1 shade. I'm gonna show you a demo of me applying it to my cheeks. It's a little bit difficult to see with the high fluorescence of the ring light, but once it's all applied, I will show you a lower light so that you can see the shift a little bit more. I think the pink shift shows up a lot more in person than it does on camera. And overall, I was actually really pleased with this highlighter. It showed up a lot more easily on me than the Petal Metal collection that they did in collaboration with Vlada MUA. That was a gorgeous collection, beautifully, beautifully packaged, but the highlighters didn't work super well for me once they were applied to the skin. I was pretty happy with the way this highlighter applied. It's not, you know, a super groundbreaking shade. There are plenty of like shifty holographic pale pink highlighters. Not usually something that I go for. I'm more of a, you know, champagne basic kind of girl when it comes to highlighters, but I was happy with this. I felt it performed well. I don't really feel like it was worth $39. If it was $29, I would say it's definitely worth it, but overall pretty happy with the overall performance of the product inside here. Now let's talk about the eyeshadow palette. There are 8 eyeshadow pans in here. As you can see, there's 2 longer pans on top and then 3 little pans below each one of those big shadows, so it kind of forms like two quads. I do like this setup that Smashbox does with their cover shot palettes. I think it's very user friendly. It definitely helps people figure out which shadows to use together. So layout wise, I like it. You have a more rosy quad on this side and then a more cool toned blue and gunmetal gray kind of quad on the other side. I like the layout. There are 3 matte shadows. This larger pan on top of the cool toned quad, this sort of mulberry shade, and then the gray shadow. Those are the 3 mattes. There are 2 really iridescent kind of shifting shades, which is this large pan for the rosy quad, as well as this pink shade here in the middle. The 2 shimmers in the cool toned quad are very foiled shadows, and Smashbox does recommend that these are applied just with the finger, although I will show you brush swatches of them when we get to the swatches of the palette. And then this really deep brown is just a straight shimmer. I'm gonna show you some swatches of the palette now. I'm gonna swatch all 8 eyeshadows onto the inside of my arm. No primer down first, just the shadows directly onto my skin. I am going to be doing both finger and brush swatches of each eyeshadow shade. The finger swatches are on top and then the brush swatches are below. For the brush swatches, I'm using my e.l.f. flat eyeshadow brush. I am just doing dry brush swatches for all of these. I'm not going to dampen the brush for any of the shimmers, not even the foiled shades. And then I'll clean off my brush in between each swatch using my Veramona color switch. Here is the first quad, that rosier quad that we see on the left side of the palette. There is 1 matte shade here. It's that shade called Energy. The rest of these shades are shimmers, and I do want to point out that the finger swatches are on top and the brush swatches are below. The brush swatches on the shimmers are much better in my opinion, especially when we take a look at the second half of the palette. These foiled shimmers swatched really, really well, even with a dry eyeshadow brush. But as you can see, the matte shades are almost non-existent. And I'm pretty fair, so I can't imagine that these would show up at all on anyone with any deeper skin tone than me, and that's a problem. Now that you've seen all of the eyeshadows swatched, let's jump into a quick tutorial using this Crystalized palette, and I'll show you how I got this look that I'm wearing today, and then I'll wrap up all my thoughts at the end. As always, I'm starting with my favorite eye base. It's the MAC Paint Pot in the shade Painterly. Then I just set that eye base using this pale matte shade called Sage My Name for a nice smooth surface to work on. Next, moving into the gray matte shade called You're Grounded. I really built that up in the crease area. I didn't want it to get too dark, but that wasn't really a problem because I really had to layer this up to get it to show up at all on my eyelids. Then I started building up some depth and smokiness on that outer corner using a small brush to apply all the heels. And then I used my finger to sort of smudge it out to get a smoother look and just did a little bit of extra blending. A little blending never hurt anyone. Next, I used my finger to apply Hex Appeal, that gunmetal grayish blue shade, all over the lid. And then I did go back and deepen up all the heels just a little bit on the outer edge. A little more blending with no additional product, and then I used You're Grounded on the lower lash line, just really smoking that out right along my lower eyelid. Then for my inner corner, I used the shade Heart Healer. I applied that with my pinky finger first, and then I used a small flat brush to sort of blend it in and smooth out the edges. Of course, curled my lashes, added a little bit of CoverGirl Exhibitionist mascara, and that's my finished look. I think it turned out pretty nice despite my struggles with the matte shades. I do think the shimmers sort of made up for it and carried the weight of this palette, so overall, still happy. I also want to show you some comparison swatches between the highlighter and 2 of these pinky, shifty, iridescent eyeshadows. So what you're seeing here is the large pan eyeshadow from the Rosy Quad called Heart Healer. Then in the middle swatch is the highlighter in the shade Optimistic and the eyeshadow called Light Twerker. Yes, that is the actual name of the eyeshadow. I just wanted you to see these three shades compared because they do have a similar kind of vibe. They are these duochromy iridescent pink shades, so just for your information, that's these three shades compared. Overall, when it comes to this Crystalized Cover Shop palette, I'm just left feeling a little bit underwhelmed. I think the shimmers performed really, really well. I like the color selection. It's a little bit different, still approachable for somebody who's not trying to go full color. Even the rosier shades do come off with a more neutral undertone in general, and then this quad is very cool toned. So I think we're seeing something really different here. Not a lot of those orangey, warm undertones that are very much saturating the market at this point. I like the color selection. It's something very different to see a gray matte, and the blue in this palette feels inherent to the palette. It doesn't feel like a pop of blue like so many blue eyeshadows and palettes end up feeling. It does feel cohesive. It's interesting. So I like the color story. I just felt that some of the shades were underwhelming performance-wise, particularly the matte shades. They feel very soft to the touch, but then when it comes to actually applying them, there's just not a ton of impact with the pigmentation. The shimmers in this palette far outperform the mattes, and I don't say this very often, but I do wish that this palette was all shimmer. Typically, I love an even balance, half and half mattes and shimmers, but given this crystal theme, I think an all shimmer palette really would make sense. And since the shimmers are so much better performance-wise, formula-wise, I think that this palette really would have benefited from just being complete shimmer. Throw in some more of these foiled shadows, which I thought were really beautiful. They look beautiful on the eye. And I even thought that they applied well with just a dry brush swatch. I am happy with how my eye look turned out, and I think that's because I mostly stuck with the shimmer shades. It's on the right track. It has potential. It's just the mattes really kind of killed it for me. A good idea, just not a great execution. So I don't really think this was worth the price tag. I'm still glad that I tried it, and I will continue to use the shimmers in here, but the mattes are just a no-go for me. I previously talked about the Petal Metal collection, and I really, really liked the eyeshadow palette from that collection. It was the same format of this little small cover shop palette. I really enjoyed the formulas in there. I thought the mattes and shimmers alike were great. I really was hoping that the same thing would happen with this Crystalized palette, and it was just a near miss for me. But hey, at least you guys got to see me wear blue eyeshadow. That doesn't happen very often. And now's the time when I want to hear what you think about this collection. Did you pick anything up? Have you tried any of the other products? I'd love to hear what your experience has been. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye. Anything to add to the... Hey. Hold on, I got hair in my face. I definitely have it all together, it's fine. The Smashbox Okay. Apparently words just aren't happening for me today. Light Twerker. Why? These are quite the selection of names. It's fine. This blue and pink combo is those Pantone Color of the Year vibes from 2 years ago when there was 2 colors of the year. Guess I was a little late on that one, wasn't I? Tea. Oh boy. Are people even looking for this collection? Like, is anybody even gonna watch this video? I don't know. Guess we'll find out when I upload it. This highlighter really is pretty though. Oh well. Okay. I painted my nails with some like dark witchy vibes for this video. What do you think? Okay. That's enough. Gotta go. All right. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.